Hello, and welcome to Socially Holistic Podcast. Socially Holistic helps coaches and holistic entrepreneurs and women in heart-centered businesses make sense of social media so they can build their own online network and get more clients. As a heart-centered business owner, you do amazing work. Holly's mission in life is to help you help more people. Help us help more women in business with a 5-star review of this podcast. Please leave one today over at iTunes. The more women who find out about this podcast, the more heart-centered businesses will be successful. Thank you.
Hello and welcome to the Socially Holistic Podcast, episode 41. This is your host, Holly Wharton, and I'm here with today's very special guest, Jac McNeil. Jac is a thought partner and strategic ally for women entrepreneurs. Welcome, Jac.
Thank you, Holly. I'm happy to be here.
I'm so excited to have you today. Thanks so much for coming.
Thank you. Thanks for inviting me.
So could you start out by telling us a little bit about your background?
Sure. Yeah, I always think about, what's relevant to my business today, and I think everything is relevant. I started off thinking I was going to be a gym teacher when I left high school, and I went on to university and did my kinesiology degree and decided, no, it wasn't. After doing a stint with junior high practice teaching, I thought, no, that's not it for me. And amazing what teenagers can teach you about yourself. But what I did is I discovered athletic therapy and working in the science of sports medicine and injury, and I followed that path for quite a while. And I did my master's degree in kinesiology and really developed an interest and specialty in working with women around women's health and having them be empowered about their health, especially around menopause and the older years and the changes that happen to our body. And so I worked for a long time in rehab and then through HR at a big university out west here in Canada, and helping people who were injured to get back to work and really looking at the wellness of the organization as a whole. And then I took a year to be with my first baby. And when I was coming back to work, I knew that's not it, that this isn't really what I wanted to do. And that was at the time that I discovered coaching and went into the Coaches Training Institute and took that first weekend, which was such a sense of coming home, that there was this whole profession that looked at people in this way, that took all the sort of the strengths and gifts of communication that I felt that I was using day to day that came naturally to me, and helped people to really move forward in their lives in this very positive and empowering way. And I knew that that's what I wanted to do. So the thing that I didn't know is that in order to be able to do that, I needed to be an entrepreneur. That had never crossed my radar. I really spent a lot of time thinking about coaching and that I would just be a coach within that organization. But they didn't have a place for that. They didn't have the budget for that. And so in order to do the work that I felt like I was born to do and felt called to do, I needed to make my own business happen. I needed to become self-employed. So that's how I got to, being a solopreneur.
And self-employment is such a massive learning experience in so many different levels.
Oh my God, yes.
So could you tell us a little bit about your business journey? How did you get to where you are today with your business? Because you've been a coach for about 8 years now, is that correct?
Yeah, I've been self-employed for 8 years. One of those years was another maternity leave, and I took another whole year off to be with our second child, and put my business on hold then. So I've had a few starts and stops because we also moved across the country a few years ago and relocated back to our home province here in Nova Scotia. So I took more time off then. So it was interesting for me, to say that I'm self-employed for 8 years, but to realize how many, starts and pauses and stops that I've had along the way. But when I think about my business journey, a lot of it has been so organic, but there's been some very key decisions that I've made along the way, very key strategic decisions that I think have positioned me to have the business experience that I'm having right now. And, one of those strategic decisions was really looking at myself as a business owner, not just a practitioner, not just a coach. Because in the beginning, I felt really safe. I knew what coaching was. I knew how to do coaching. I thought I was a really great coach. I was having good results with the clients that I had. but I didn't know how to be a business owner. I didn't know how to market. I didn't know most of those things, we learn because we have to along the way. But just giving myself permission to call myself a business owner really opened things wide up. It allowed me to have a point of view. It allowed me to make some key decisions about how I wanted to market and promote myself, how I really wanted to give myself permission to work with certain people and not with other types of people. So that was a really key strategic decision. Another decision that happened along the way early on was understanding that there were certain people that I loved working with and certain people that I didn't, and that it was okay just to focus on the people that I loved working with. And they helped me discover through that work. I started to realize that, there's a niche here for me. There's an area, like a zone of genius that I have, and that the people that I most love working with love that about me too. And so permission then along the way to kind of drop off and let go of all the other pieces that I was hanging on to that really didn't fit my business anymore.
I think that's so important, because I think a lot of people, when they first get started in business, they think, I must take every single client that's out there that approaches me because, I need the money. It's just, you're a bit desperate for clients oftentimes at the beginning. But when you get to the point where you realize not everyone is for me and I'm not for everyone, that is so, so powerful.
It is. And, it takes courage because, a lot of times in the beginning of our business, there's really not a lot of evidence that the business is going to work out, that it's going to be profitable. It's drips and drabs, and we get little sparks of things happening, and we get excited, and then all of a sudden things go radio silent, and it's really hard on our psyche. But I think that when we do commit to that, when we do believe and have the courage that there is an abundant way of having a business, that there are enough of our right people out there, and really just to focus and zone in on them and what we like to do best, then we start to see more and more evidence. But it really does take courage to let that transition happen and let those people that are not a right fit kind of fade away.
And was there a tipping point in your business where everything just kind of shifted from being a struggle to shifting into flow?
I think there was. It's been in the last, I'd say, 3 years. And part of that was understanding how to market. Marketing to me is, and it's really to everyone, it's about building relationships. But the question is how do you build those relationships best? Are you a writer? Are you someone who loves to blog and teach? Or are you someone who loves to, create lots of intimate conversations with people over Skype and really get to know their business and have them know yours? Or do you like to get out there and talk? So it's finding your vehicle for marketing that I think, and settling into that, knowing you don't have to do it the way everybody else does. For me, once I realized what worked for me in marketing and what felt good, things started to shift and become easier. And so, for me, the best way for me to market in terms of my personality type and my strengths are around intimate relationships. So whatever client comes to me, making sure that the results are amazing, that they have the very best experience, because then they go off and they tell other people. And really my business has been built word of mouth, one client at a time. And then it's also for me to spread the word about me too, to be really confident about what I do well and not be shy to let people know that, whether that's through writing and blogging, whether that's through social media and sharing experiences that my clients are having, whether that's about being more visible and doing some speaking opportunities. So for me, it was really owning that I have a role to play in my own marketing, and that it's important for me to be confident about what I can offer people.
I think that's really important, because so many people struggle with playing small sometimes in business. It's like we don't have the confidence to speak up and say, hey, this is my thing, this is what I'm great at, this is what I can help you with. Absolutely.
And, confidence is a critical factor in having a business. And it doesn't mean that we're going to be confident 100% of the time. Mm-hmm. There's lots of inner critic stuff. There's lots of self-talk that needs to happen. We experience vulnerability and doubt. That's part of being human. But it's finding those moments when we can summon that courage within, and that we can share what it is that we do well. And when we can get out there in front of people in whatever way that looks like, whether that's through writing or face-to-face, and really own what our brilliance is, that makes other people feel confident and want to be part of our world and want to be part of our business. So in order for us to be successful, we have to do the inner work to be able to find and express that courage.
And I think that's such an important part of business that you don't necessarily know you're going to have to get into when you first start out as an entrepreneur. You just think, as you said, I've trained as a coach, I've got these coaching skills, I'm going to start coaching people, and you don't realize how much of your inner stuff comes up and needs to be worked on along the way.
Yeah, that's what I built the business on. It's so true. My own journey of, God damn it, this whole entrepreneurship thing is really emotional. There's so much inner work that happens on a daily basis to be able to get out there and put out there those strategies or those tactics that I'm learning. All the marketing experts are telling me I need to do this and I need to do this and I want to do those things, but gosh, there's a whole lot of limiting beliefs that I need to navigate my way through in order to be able to do that. And so my work is really about meeting women at that place and how they're showing up in their business and looking for those patterns of limiting beliefs and looking for those things that they're doing and getting in their own way and helping them to remove those obstacles that are all the inner stuff, how they really see themselves, how they're self-identifying, and how they're communicating. And so that's where I've been able to really get excited in my business and really help women have the results that they want in their own business by addressing those things, as opposed to just coming at it from a very tactical, tangible place, but doing those inner work pieces.
That's interesting, because I just gave a talk last night on social media, and one of the things that I said was, I fully recognize that a lot of women in business have struggles with social media, whether it's putting themselves out there in such a public way or putting their photograph up or really sharing what they do. And I said, if you've got fears around that, you need to get help. So whether it's, your favorite EFT practitioner or NLP or whatever tool helps you work through your fears, you've got to get working on that.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's difficult to do that alone. It's hard to, when we're so close to something, when we're so close to it, it's hard for us to even see where we're being slippery or where we're self-sabotaging. And our inner critics, all the women I work with are really intelligent and really self-aware. And yet their inner critics are just as sophisticated and smart as they are. So you kind of need that set of outside eyes and that objectivity to help you, shine the light on those little dark corners that can creep up in your business.
Yeah. So what would you say are your top tips on how to step into your personal power in business and do some of that inner work so that you can actually shine your light around the world and help those people that you're meant to help?
Well, I love thinking about personal power as an energy force, a way of really tapping into our best self and our inner wisdom. And I've created this primer. You can opt in on my site and receive this primer. And it's really experiential. It gives you practical tips. And there's 5 principles that I've come up with. I'll share a couple of them today. But the first one is about becoming your own best business advisor, because there's 2 things that I see happen with women. They give all their power away to the so-called experts out there, the celebrity coaches that know all about marketing, and you just have to do this, this, and this, and then you'll make $100K a year. They give their power away to the outside expert, or they default to their inner critic and they start to take direction from that part of themselves that creates drama or tells false stories or exaggerates, the risk of something. And what I really want to invite women to do is to not do that, but instead really imagine that compassionate, graceful, wise inner woman that's already within them, that intuition and that deep well of wisdom, and sit with that on a daily basis. Have coffee with that part of yourself and visualize her and ask her, what would she do? What advice does she have? And really create your own decisions and answers from that place of being your own best business advisor. Mm-hmm. Another really important tip around personal power is to know whether or not you're aligned with what I call your must-haves. Those experiences in your life that create opportunities for fulfillment. We call those a lot of times in coaching our core values.
Yeah.
And the best way to know whether you are honoring your core values or not is figuring out how you feel daily. If you're feeling angry and upset and frustrated or dissonant, ask yourself, what's the value that just got stepped on? What is it that I'm not honoring that's so important to me? And how can I take a step or take an action to get back in alignment with that value? And so really understanding what is critical to you on a personal level in terms of your own day-to-day fulfillment and building your business around that will really help you tap into your personal power. If we're not aligned with anything that really matters to us, we're going to feel really depleted. There's just no way that we can feel powerful from that place.
And I think the great thing about being in business for yourself is that you can build a business around your core values. The problem is that so many of us come from employment where we have worked in places that have not been aligned with our core values, and so we just don't even think about how we now have this opportunity.
Yeah, exactly. And also, oh my gosh, it's my first year of business or my second year of business, so I can't build it the way I want it. I have to be successful first, and then I'll build it the way that I want. And I really encourage women to come up with their list of non-negotiables in their business, whether that's around when they're going to work or how they're going to work or their process of working, one-to-one with clients, whatever that is, to really choose that first and then build your business around that, because clients will respect that. We teach people how to treat us. And so instead of waiting till the future, till whatever date you decide you're successful, employ those must-haves or those non-negotiables now. Really give yourself permission to do that.
Yeah, that's excellent. And the sooner you start, the more you train yourself to respect yourself.
Yeah, absolutely. Yes. And then you get the proof that, oh my gosh, people actually respect that boundary. All I needed to do was to set that or ask for that. So they can see that is a really powerful experience in their business. I think the third tip around personal power is to think about perspective. To me, it is a critical part of your business experience and navigating challenges or conflict or the day-to-day decisions that you need to make. Perspective is really the lens that we are seeing a situation through. Perspective can be rosy, or it can be bleak, it can be expansive, or it can be suffocating. Saying that you feel overwhelmed is actually a perspective. Saying you feel stressed is actually a perspective. So how we choose to describe a situation allows us to either have a lot of possibilities and expansiveness for how we address it, or it can have us feel really limited. So I think here's a great example of perspective is to think about a situation in your business that might be really upsetting to you right now. You're thinking about it, you're playing it over and over in your mind. It's a situation that feels like there's some conflict in there, or you need to decide how to deal with it, and it's just not going away. Just take a piece of paper, and on one side of that paper, step into the perspective of being a victim. Really hard done by, not able to deal with it, and tell the story of that situation from that perspective. Just write it out. This is how I feel. This is what's hard for me. This is what's going to happen. And then flip the piece of paper and physically change your space, change where you're sitting, and step into the perspective of being the heroine or the hero of your story. And how would she tell that story? How would she describe the situation that you're in? And so that's a really great way for people to practice perspective. Perspective is a choice. At any given time, we can ask ourselves, geez, what perspective am I standing in right now about this situation or about this conflict? How am I thinking about it? And what would be a more empowering way to think about it? What's another way to look at this situation? And then if we step into that one, lots of ideas and creativity and opportunities for problem solving tend to open up for us. So when I think about personal power, it has a lot to do with perspective. And so offering that up as a way of thinking about it and just starting to notice on a daily basis, gosh, what perspective am I in right now? And is this supporting me? Is this helping me grow? Or is this limiting me in some way?
That is so important, and it's such a valuable reminder, because I think so many times, especially solopreneurs, we can get stuck in kind of a tunnel vision. And, maybe if we didn't get the sales we wanted on a product or a service that we've just launched, we can just kind of get into that lack of perspective where we're just stuck from one specific view and we don't realize that there are other options out there.
Absolutely. I mean, we see that a lot where we put something out there into the world and then there's crickets. And then immediately, the inner critic jumps in and hijacks that. And we default into this perspective of, I suck. Nobody likes me. My business is going to fail. Oh my God, I'm so embarrassed. Everybody knows that no one's signing up. I'm shit. We go into that really black and white place. Or the other experience where people start signing up and we think, oh my God, I'm totally awesome. I've got this. And there's these extremes in terms of how we're seeing ourselves in our business. And there's another way to look at it, which is I'm growing and this is working and I feel good about it. So people haven't signed up. Maybe there's things I need to learn more, or maybe I need more time, or maybe I need to do this. So there's lots of different ways to look at any given situation without having it be so extreme one way or the other.
Exactly. There's always a learning opportunity in everything that we do in business, even the disappointments, and possibly especially the disappointments.
Yeah, huge learning in that, and not to let them become so dramatic, right?
Yes. Yeah. Just turn down the drama volume.
Exactly. That's it. Yeah.
So I want to talk to you a little bit about how you work with your clients. You've got a concept or a service on your website that you call thought partnership. And I loved the sound of it, because one thing that you say on your website is that you are someone that your clients can take the everything is rosy mask off for. And I think that's such a fantastic image, because so many of us try to stay positive with our business, even at the very beginning if we're struggling, and we just walk around pretending that everything is fantastic. But we do need that person that we can say, everything is not fantastic and I need to work on it.
Yeah, and it's really about feeling safe, having that sense of confidentiality, and knowing that that person is still going to hold you as brilliant and amazing and lovely and successful, and not judge you. I think we're scared. We're so scared all the time because we're out there in social media about how we are managing how people are perceiving us. And that is absolutely exhausting. We're constantly wondering, if I post this, what will they think? If I say this, what will they think? And so we're almost over managing the perceptions that people have. And so when we can partner with someone who we don't have to worry about that they're always going to see what's brilliant about us, that they're going to be looking out for us, they're going to see us as an equal and a partner, it's a critical part, I think, of our own ability to grow in our business, is to have someone at the level that we can bring in and not try to hide or manipulate the perceptions. The way that I work with women in a one-to-one situation is typically over a period of about 4 months. And the reason I call it thought partnership instead of coaching is because I blend the skill sets of coaching with teaching and mentoring. So I bring in a lot of leadership development strategies and philosophies. And so I will step into different skill sets depending on what that client needs. And it's really about where coaching is always wanting to draw completely on the wisdom of that client. Thought partnerships will also bring in my own wisdom and my experience and my ideas, and hold that client still as naturally, creative and resourceful, and they can pick and choose what it is that I'm bringing. But the two of us together get to make magic. So I really love the opportunity to kind of be seen as a partner as opposed to a consultant, which I'm going to give you all the answers, or a coach where I'll just ask all the great questions and all the answers have to come from you. So that's kind of how I've blended my skill set together. Oh, I like that. That's a very multi-layered approach. Yeah. Now you've got something else that I think is absolutely fascinating, and ever since you launched it, I love it. The Solopreneur Sojourn Digital Business Retreat Kit. I love the artwork for it. I love the concept of it. Could you tell us a little bit about this digital business retreat? Absolutely. Well, Lisa McLaughlin is an amazing artist, and I invited her into my digital retreat kit when I was designing that and creating that. And she did the lovely artwork for that, as well as the artwork that's now on my website. So I love her and her work. But yes, I think that we get into a place in our business where we're always working in it. We're in it. We're managing clients. We're thinking about launching. And a lot of women need time away from their business to look at the bigger picture, to really touch base with themselves and what's working, what's feeling fulfilling, what's satisfying, and what isn't. And so I created this multi-layered kit to be very experiential, to be focused on the woman in the business, as well as to look at the strategy that she's bringing to her business. So it's a way that you can have a self-guided retreat experience and have it not just be about self-care and having a great weekend away, but really about having the questions and the tools to look at the bigger picture of your business and how you want to take that forward. So there's audios and worksheets, there's recipes to create the actual weekend experience. It's meant to happen over a period of 2 days. You can do it on your own as a solo experience, or you can invite some of your fellow friends together that are also entrepreneurs and have kind of a weekend getaway. So, yeah.
I love it. And as you said, the artwork does such a fantastic job of just creating the ambience and the energy of it.
Yeah, for me, I've led a lot of in-person retreats, and nature has been a critical element in creating that sense of peace and serenity and helping women tap back into their own spirituality and where that place of wisdom sits within their own bodies. And because this was, a PDF, I needed to have a way of creating a visual ambiance that would remind them of being in nature and also encourage them to find a place to have this experience, out in nature as well. So the artwork, I think, brings another visual layer and creates more fullness to that experience for sure.
That's excellent. So I see on your website that you've got a number of new self-study programs that are coming in a couple of months. Could you tell us a little bit about that, or is that still top secret?
No, it's not top secret. Well, one for sure that's coming is a group program that I have run live several times, and it's called In Your Element. It's an ideal program for women entrepreneurs who are kind of in that first couple of years, that up and coming stage where they've got a little bit of traction in their business. They've been working with some clients, but what they're really wanting is to figure out what their zone of genius is. What does it look and feel like to be completely in my element? How can I bring my best strengths to my business and position those in a really powerful way for my clients? So it's about niche work. It's about discovering who your right people are. It's about creating a signature offer from that zone of genius. And so I've taken all of the in-person sort of group modules, and I have, I'm in the process right now of putting them into a self-study experience so that women can work through this at their own pace.
I love that.
Thanks.
So, Jac, do you have any women business mentors? Are there any women in business who inspire you, who have helped you along this journey?
Oh my gosh. Yeah. Well, I have to say that I work with some very remarkable women entrepreneurs, and they inspire me in terms of their own courage and growth and how they've positioned their own business. And some of them are way ahead of me, in their years of experience. And so I look to them a lot as in terms of drawing inspiration. But I look to Corrina Gordon-Barnes. She's become a very, very good friend of mine. I think you've interviewed her as well. Yeah, and what I love about Corrina is that she has always stayed very aligned with her own personal values, that she has built her business, one day at a time, 1 month at a time, and she's really stayed true to having her business support the lifestyle that she wants to have. She's amazing at building community. Yeah. And she has that ambition. Like, she's smart and she's ambitious and she's a go-getter and she's real. We can sit and cry and be frustrated together. And it's not always easy, and there is a lot of luck involved. And she's always been so real about sharing that. and stretching me, really pushing me to take steps and believing in me. So she's been a wonderful mentor. Jen Loudon also pops into my mind because Jen Loudon has built an amazing reputation out there. She's far-reaching. She is mature and classy, and I love the way that she markets. It's always so generous. It's so transparent. There's not any ickiness to her, the way that she markets ever. So I've always really been inspired by watching how she does that. And then Tara Moore, and I love Tara Moore for so many reasons. And one of them is because she lifts as she climbs. We know that quote, and I love that. But she really sees the brilliance in other women and says, "You're ready." And she did that to me personally, and I'm forever grateful for that. But what she also gave me was this way of seeing coaching as not just a one-to-one business, that she has the same training as I do in terms of coaching, but she has built her business around a signature group program that's online. And she's really inspired me to think about coaching and the way to affect change and help people outside of that really traditional one-to-one coaching model. So those are three mentors that come to mind.
Excellent. Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Now, you've shared with us a little bit about your different programs and products. So how can other women in business benefit from working with you? What would you recommend?
I think that if you're at a place in your business where you have some traction, but you're really ready to move forward and make some significant changes, to step into that place of courage, to do more inner work because you're holding yourself back in some way, to maybe create a signature service or an offer more from your zone of genius, and you think you're close, but you're not quite there, I'd love to partner with you in a one-to-one relationship. If you're at a place in your business where you just need some time to regroup and figure out what's next, the digital retreat kit, the Solopreneur Sojourn, would be a great option. And if you're kind of up and coming and you're not really sure what your niche is and you're kind of in that discovery place of finding out who your right people are, then I would join my list to be the first to be notified when my In Your Element self-study course opens up.
Excellent. Thank you.
Yeah.
And where can people find you online?
I am at jacmcneil.com, and Jac is J-A-C, and McNeil is M-C-N-E-I-L.
Excellent.
I'm on all the social media places. You'd be proud.
Good.
So you can click through from my website.
Excellent. Excellent. Thank you so much for joining us today. It's been absolutely fabulous to speak with you.
Oh, thank you so much for inviting me. You made this so easy.
Oh,
thank
good.
you so much. Okay.
And thank you for listening. And remember to visit sociallyholistic.com/SHP41 for the show notes on this episode. Thank you.
Thanks so much for listening to the Socially Holistic Podcast with your host, Holly Wharton. Please help us help more women in business by giving us a 5-star review of this podcast. The more women who find out about this podcast, the more successful businesses there will be. So please leave a 5-star review today over at iTunes. Thank you.